message of hope and healing. Her mission is to create a safe space for women to find freedom, healing, and self-worth. Join Dr. Michelle on this transformative journey. Discover the power of faith, hope, and healing. Together, we can overcome any obstacle and embrace the future God has planned for us.
Press on, and to know that the God that we serve is the same today, the same yesterday, and He will be the same forever.
Remember, you are not alone. God is with you, guiding you every step of the way. Join us this upcoming January for a beautiful healing and transformation.
God is in this story.
Good morning, my friends. Good morning. And we have here today our speaker, our presenter, our Dr. Guru, Dr. Michelle. How are you doing, my friend? Glad that you're with us today. I'm going to give you the full range of opportunity today to share what is on your heart.
Okay, sounds good. I'm doing well. How are you doing from Africa, right? You're in Africa.
I am doing great over here in the motherland. Akwabe, as they say. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the motherland.
Yeah, one day I hope to visit the motherland, but for right now, I'm here from Tennessee, where the weather is gloomy but nice. Praising God for that. And I'm so happy to have the opportunity to just speak with you guys again and just to help you go through this process of identifying your childhood wounds. And tonight we're going to be dealing with healing those childhood wounds. All right, so the last 2 weeks, we dealt with trying to understand childhood wounds and its impact. And to refresh your memory, I will reiterate the wounds that can be created by a parent or caregiver. So we have abandonment, rejection, betrayal, humiliation, injustice, and neglect. And these in turn are manifested in adulthood. And that's in the form of psychological effects, anxiety and depression, PTSD, behavioral consequences, physical impact, and somatic symptoms. I also highlighted 2 key ways childhood wounds can affect your life. And there's an emotional and relationship challenges, and 2 is self-worth and behavior patterns. And in those behavior patterns, one way of identifying your wounds is through self-reflection. And that is journaling. Sometimes when you write things out, that helps you to identify your feelings or connect with your feelings. And then the behavior patterns, you have to pay attention to those recurring emotional triggers. Okay, so if someone says something, why did I react that way? So it's important to pay attention to those. And then your physical responses, like how do you react when confronted with stress? So tonight, we are going to transition to healing, some steps to take to healing those childhood wounds. And it's a personal journey. So there's no set path for healing. But throughout this journey, self-awareness, patience, and support from others will be required. And like I said, everyone's journey looks different. But here are some steps that can help you navigate the process. So 1, you have to acknowledge and validate your pain. Your pain is real. It is real. You have to identify the core wounds, and I will go into in depth with each of them. I'm just giving an overview. And then you have to practice self-compassion. Process your emotions and reparent yourself. Set clear boundaries. Seek professional help. Engage in inner child work. Create a new narrative and embrace joy and playfulness. So those are the ways or the things that we will explore tonight that will help you on your healing journey. So first, acknowledge and validate your pain. The first step is recognizing and validating that childhood wounds exist, because I know sometimes people will undermine what you're feeling, but those wounds are real. You are the ones that are hurt. You are the ones that are hurting. So denial only perpetuates the pain. So don't try to undermine what you're feeling. But if you acknowledge that, it will allow you to begin to understand the root cause of those emotional struggle. And I'll emphasize the root cause. Why am I feeling this way? So first, you have to recognize that your experiences are real and that your emotions are valid. I'm emphasizing avoid minimizing or dismissing your pain just because others had it worse. And I know sometimes I do that to myself. And I say, you know what? I'm in a better situation than many other people. No, don't undermine your pain. Your pain is your pain. Your journey is your journey. And your struggle is your struggle. Identify the core wounds. So reflect, like I said last week, and I'll reiterate, reflect on recurring emotional patterns in your life. So do I have fear of abandonment? Do I have fear of people leaving? Do I feel unworthy? Do I feel less than? Do I have difficulty trusting others? Notice how these wounds show up in your relationships. Do you have self-esteem issues? Do you have problem making decisions? Because I know at one point I would consider myself dependent, so whenever I have to make a decision, I have to get others' opinion. Hey, what do you think about this? But after I did my work and went through that process, I realized that, you know what? Whatever decision I make is going to impact me. I don't need someone else to tell me what to do and how to do it. So just be mindful of those things. Practice self-compassion. And before I want to go back and reiterate something with identifying the core wounds. So you have to recognize these patterns and you have to take your control back. You have to recognize those patterns and take your control. Be in charge of you. And then, do you replay humiliation in your mind or feeling stuck in the past? So that's a way of identifying that, hey, I am hurting. Like every time something happens or whenever you go to sleep and you're dreaming or there's a trigger, it's like the past recur. It's happening right now, even though it happened years ago. So be mindful of that. Do not stay stuck in the past. And then another thing I want you to practice is self-compassion. Be compassionate, trust yourself with kindness or treat yourself with kindness. So, because sometimes it's easy for us to be compassionate to someone else, but then we don't give ourselves that same kindness, that same encouragement. Sometimes it's okay to even hug yourself. It's okay. And then replace self-criticism with self-acceptance. So I am more than what happened to me. That's what you have to keep reminding yourself. I am more than what happened to me. And this morning I was in study and I was looking at James 1, and I just want to read. So James 1 and verse 2 to 4 stuck out. And it says, and we know James was the brother of Jesus. And it says, dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, consider it an opportunity for great joy. If I stop there, then I would be like, is he kidding me? Consider it an opportunity for great joy. Like, how can I have joy in my pain? Right? But then it went on to say, for you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. So pretty much What it's saying is that all these things happen to you for you to build endurance, so that when that endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing. So these things happen in your childhood. You identified these things. You went and did the self-work. So now guess what? You can endure and you can get through anything. And I also like, I think it was verse 18, when it says, he chose to give birth to us by giving us his true word, and we, out of all creation, so everything that God has created, we are his prized possession. So if we start thinking about how that we are, like I said last week, we are kings, we're queens, we're prince, we're princesses, because we are the child of the king, then we are able to replace all the self-criticism, all the negative things that we say about ourselves, and replace it or affirm it with the word of God. You are a prized possession. And then I also want you to be able to process your emotion. So journaling. Speak to trusted friend or therapist, and that can help you to release some of those emotions that are suppressed. And I know that when I went through my struggles, I journaled. I journal every single day. At the time, I didn't know that art was helping me release some of my emotions. But I started taking art classes, and I realized that, that was the only time I felt free to do what I wanted to do without being criticized. This was my painting. This was my art. This was my expression. And no one else can tell me what to do about it, how to do it. This was mine. It was my work. So journaling, art, speaking to a trusted friend, I was surrounded with very good friendship. And these women, they were behind me. They did not allow me to fall into depression. They every week, sometime once a month, we would go out and hang out. And I also had a therapist that helped to guide me on the way. And that's the reason why I kept saying that I don't look like what I've been through, because I was surrounded. I had a strong support system. And it's very important when you're healing, when you're healing from your childhood wounds. And allow yourself to grieve the childhood. It happened, and grieve it. It's just like grieving someone that's dead. You're burying that stuff. Grieve it. Release it. So reparent yourself. What is reparenting? It is a therapeutic technique that involves identifying and addressing unmet emotional needs from childhood. So pretty much it's like you're giving yourself the love, the safety, the validation that you may not have received, that you may not receive as a child. So if you felt like, oh man, my mom or my dad needed to hug me more, hug yourself. If you need validation, go into the Word of God. Google some affirmation on Facebook and affirm yourself. Establish routines that create a sense of stability. And that's very important, because that's going to help you to feel safe. And practice positive self-talk and self-soothing techniques. Get rid of that negativity. Say something positive over your life. Because if you continue to have that negative self-talk, then you will stay stuck. Release it. Release the negative energy. And then set healthy boundaries. And that's very important. And that is something that I had to realize very late in life, because sometimes we look at boundaries as disrespect, or we're shutting people out. And that's why I highlighted healthy boundaries. I didn't say to build walls. I said to set boundaries. So it's like you're creating, you're putting like a fence around yourself and saying that, hey, I'm not going to allow you to hurt me anymore. So betrayal can make you doubt your judgment. So rebuild self-trust by listening to your instincts and setting clear boundaries with people. If someone repeatedly disrespects you, give yourself permission to walk away. And I can give you an example of boundary setting. So my husband, ex-husband was a narcissist, and it would be one small thing that would turn into a huge thing, but we would never have any resolution. The gaslighting, the negative talk, it was just like so much emotional abuse. And I would always fall into it. And then I'm like, why did I allow myself to get here? And then what I end up having to do was tell myself that, okay, I know his pattern. So the next time he says this, I will not respond. And I let him know, like, hey, this is who I am. I know my worth, and I'm not going to allow you to pull me down. So when I set those boundaries, when I stop responding, and sometimes when he starts, his little gaslighting, I would leave. I would walk away. So it got to the point where it pushed him away even further, because healthy boundaries are either going to pull you together or push you apart. And for us, it pushed us apart. But when you're in toxic relationships, it's not healthy anyway. So just pray and then allow God to lead and direct you as to how to deal with those things. And until he releases you, I'm not telling anyone to leave your relationship, but pray and ask God, set your boundaries, whether it's with your mom, your dad, your spouse, your children, set those healthy boundaries just to maintain your peace of mind. And then seek professional help. Therapy is very, very important. And that's the reason why, because I know a lot of people are saying, oh, I don't want people in my business. They're just like me. What do they know? Because I've spoken to many people like that. Oh, no, I will never sit with a therapist. But you will sit with a friend. It's the same thing. But these individuals, they have more experience. I mean, they have their degree. So they can give you more support than your friend can give you. So I do recommend that you sit with a therapist. They can dig into your inner child work. And I did some imago therapy, and that's exactly what they did. They went through my childhood. They helped me to process the things that happened to me. And I was able to work through it. And I am in the place where I am today. And there is EMDR, that's eye movement desensitization and processing therapy. So it's a technique that helps people to process and heal traumatic memories, for example, PTSD. And then a coach or support group can offer guidance and sense of community as well. Engage in inner childhood healing practices. The inner childhood, you are taking the time out to comfort the younger version of yourself. And that can be healing. When you take the time out and say, hey, you needed this. You should have gotten this. And I'm going to give it to you. So that's you doing the inner child work. You identify those emotions. And here it says you could also use medications. I'm not pushing medications, but sometimes the wound can be so deep that you need something. It may not be something permanent, but something to help you to connect with your inner childhood so that you can move past it. You can write letters to your younger self, offering love and encouragement that you needed. And so those are some things that you can do. You can create a new narrative, shift from seeing yourself as a victim to recognizing your resilience. And that is one of the 3 R's, is resilience. So you have to shift from seeing yourself as a victim. Woe, it's me. Woe, it's me. No. Recognize that, hey, these things happen, but I'm able to bounce back. And not just bouncing back, but you're able to stand up, you're able to move forward, and you're able to adapt to the changes. Rewrite limiting beliefs formed in childhood. So affirmations, like I said, you can use scripture. I'm good at finding scriptures to affirm me whenever I feel like I'm going back into that space. You can just go on Google and say, hey, word of affirmation. And you'll see tons of those that comes up. You can post those on your mirror in your bathroom. You can have it in your car. You can have them anywhere to remind you of who you are. So whenever you think that you're not enough, you can replace that to, I am worthy of love. I'm worthy of respect. I deserve to be treated with kindness. And then surround yourself with people who uplift and respect you. Don't be around negative people. Don't be around people that tear one another down, because if they're tearing that person over there, they're going to be doing the same thing to you. And if they can't uplift you, then you should not be around them, because you're already struggling. You're struggling emotionally. So you need to be around positive and healthy people. That's going to take you from ground 0 to 10. Embrace joy and playfulness. Engage in activities that bring childlike joy, like painting, dancing, or playing. And that is, I'm playful anyway. I'm youthful, and I have a teenager. She loves to dance. She'll do her TikToks, and oh, mom, let's do this, and I just start dancing with her. I'll play different games with my kids, because Saturday night usually that's our time. So that's our family time. And so we'll dance, we'll play games. Sometimes I'll go painting. So it's different things that you can do to bring out that childlike joy that you missed, and allow yourself to experience life with curiosity and lightness. So you see, like, look, kids, they're always, everything is always intriguing. It's fine. When you go on vacation, you travel, just do something new, make it fun, make it exciting, and don't take everything seriously. Life is not that serious. Approach things with lightness. Trust building. That is something that has to take place, but it's slow. It's a slow process, because when you're wounded, then you're viewing every single person under a microscope, and every single thing that they do that reminds you. Sometimes that's not even the person's character, but people are similar, and we may do things similar. But I think you have to take the time out to examine, is this a pattern or is it a one-time occurrence? Because we cannot write off people just because we don't trust anymore because of what happened to us. So slowly rebuild that trust, and acknowledge that not all people will repeat the same behavior as those who caused the original wound. And then to prevent childhood wound in the future, these are some things that I want you to take into consideration, because like I said, things can transfer from one generation to the next if we do not take the time out to heal our wounds. Then we will transfer it to our children. And I've said that last week and the week before, that I had some patterns that resurface in my parenting with my own children. And because I'm now aware of it, then it helps me to correct it. But if you're not aware of it, you're not aware where it's coming from, then it will be hard to correct something that you're not aware of. So do some mindful parenting. Be emotionally attuned to your children's need and validating their feelings. Listen to them without judgment. And this part I'm still trying to do, because I realize it's a work in progress. It's not something that, I went to therapy, I'm able to identify these things, and now I'm good. No, it's a work of a, just like salvation is a work of a lifetime. It's a work of a lifetime, because something will trigger. You'll have those triggers, and then you'll react. So I'm not saying that when you go to therapy, then, hey, now you're a great parent. Yeah, you're still a great parent. But things are going to happen. You'll have hiccups. So when those hiccups come, just forgive yourself. Be forgiving to yourself. Foster emotional awareness. Teach children to identify and express their emotions in healthy ways. And I know for my daughter, she has an issue expressing her emotions. So whenever something happens, instead of I'm trying to get her to talk through the process, but because she doesn't know how to fully express herself, or maybe she's thinking that she doesn't want to be disrespectful, then she'll start crying. And I always remind her that crying is not going to get her anywhere. It's okay. That's you expressing your emotional pain. But you have to be able to talk through it, to work through it, in order to derive a healthy solution. So we're still working on that. And I also enroll her in therapy, which is helping as well. And that will empower these children, our future generation, to be able to process and to work through the challenges that may arise. Promote healthy attachment. So provide consistent care, love, and safety ensures that children feel secure, valued, which protects against neglect and abandonment wounds. So again, just be that nurturing parent that you are. Just give them what you missed out on, or what you would have loved for yourself. Become that parent that did not do what they were supposed to do. And then I have some scriptures here, because, in everything we cannot leave God out. And these are some affirmations that I use for even myself. Psalms 147, verse 3. He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds. It's saying that God cares about those who are hurting. God cares about you. God cares about me. God cares about your children. He cares about the future generation. So just continue to repeat that to yourself, that even though I'm brokenhearted, even though I'm wounded, I have someone who cares and is willing to take the extra mile to walk me through this process. And Psalms 34:18, the Lord is close to the brokenhearted and save those who are crushed in spirit. This is a reminder that God is there for us no matter what. So your mother may forsake you, your father may forsake you, your husband, your wife. If everyone forsake you, just remember, God is always there. He said he will never leave and he will never forsake you. And then Isaiah 41:40, verse 29, he gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. And that is a message of hope and encouragement that can be especially comforting during times of hardship. He gives us strength. He gives strength to the weary and increases the power of the weak. And then finally, I want to leave you with some word of encouragement, is that healing is possible. Healing can mean strength and joy. You can build new, healthier associations. So it's okay. If you have to cut off the negative people in your life, do that so that you can heal and that you can grow. Healing is a result of feeling safe, empowered, and supported. So if you are in an environment where you do not feel safe, you do not feel empowered, they're not taking you to the next level, and you do not feel supported, let it go. Because that is hindering your healing. And the whole point of this is to prevent future generation to be affected by what we had to go through. We are the change. The change starts here. So let's take this. Let's identify your childhood wounds. Let's go through the healing process and become better mothers, better wives, and better all over, all around better, because you took the time out to work through and to heal.
Amen. Dig. Hey, I'm cheering for you. I'm cheering for you. Yeah, I'm saying, whoa, whoa. Here in Ghana, there's a word called asino. Asino. Speak the word. Speak the word. So when you say asino is speaking the word, you're speaking truth there. So, this is exciting to me, especially Dr. McHale, when you talk about.
I can't hear you. I think we lost you.
So how does this hope affect your personal journey?
I missed everything you said. What did you say prior to that? I'm not hearing you. I can't hear you.
Yeah,
There you go.
Audience, we have to apologize a little bit. We're in Africa. It's a little unstable with internet here. That's what happens here, is unstable. But what I was talking about was you mentioned the word hope. I'm really big on the hope thing. And you started out with this is a personal journey, and you ended up with hope. So fill in the in between. How do we get from personal journey to a point where a personal journey takes us to have hope for change?
Well, I mean, if you work through the process, so first you identify what's happening to you. You work through that process, and then that builds hope for change, right? So it's a process, it's a journey. So if you are able to take it from point A, point B, point C, and then by the time you get to your destination, it's like hope. You have the hope because you have gone through the process and you have changed. So you have hope for the future generation.
Great. Listen, audience. So, give me your reactions to hope. Where are you in your journey, your personal journey towards hope? Are you somewhere at a 1, 2? You're taking backward steps, or 5? Where are you in your personal journey? Reply in the chat. So, Doc, let me ask you another question here. You said that we need to bounce back. I like that, because that reminds me of a basketball. When you hit it on the floor, it bounces back up. You can throw it up against the backboard, it bounces back. If I hit somebody, it bounces back there. I call it the Mr. Wilson theory, the Wilson basketball, the bounce back. You can throw it high in the air, it bounces back. So tell me a little bit more about bounce back part of your journey.
Okay, so I identified my wounds and identify what could have happened or what happened in my adulthood. I identify my relationships and how they were impacted. But in spite of what happened, I did not allow it to keep me there. I did not allow it to keep me there. I was able to move forward. And even in my process of moving forward, not that I'm perfect, but I did not allow myself to stay stuck. I kept moving forward in spite of. And I think one thing that I did was I filled in those things. So when I got a divorce, that was when I decided to work on my doctorate. And to most people, that's ludicrous. Like, how can you be grieving, but at the same time, you're challenging yourself to do something greater, you know? But that's my example of not staying stuck, not allowing your mistakes to keep you, to hold you down.
So bounce back is about not being stuck, you know,
Yes.
because when you're bouncing a ball or football or soccer ball, it's not being stuck to your body, not stuck to the, and it's unpredictable. You know, bounce back is unpredictable of where it's going to lead you. You can control at some places, but you know, the bounce. I like that, not being stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah. You said something else, and I really like this part there. And I'm trying to find it in you because you said it, and I know it's in there, stuck on there. You said that childlike joy. I believe in that. I believe that keeps me young. It keeps me happy. It actually, that childlike joy throws other people off because they don't understand when you're going through hell, you're going through pain, you're going through struggle, you're depressed. You still got a joy which helps and feeds your desire to bounce back.
Exactly. And that's because I know sometimes I know people would see me and said, "Hey, you're always so happy." Even my patients, like one of my patients, like his caregiver walked in and he said, "I love when she comes because she knows how to take me from a slump to reach where she is." You know, he says she's never upset, she's never down. She comes in and it's like she lights up the room. She's like sunshine. And that is the joy. Like, if you are a Christian, right, and if you believe in God, and he said that he's going to give you joy that no one can take away. So it doesn't matter what you've been through, you have to hold on to that. You have to hold on to that affirmation. Like, you know, I believe in God. God says he'll never leave or forsake me, and he's going to give us joy and peace that no one can take away. So don't let anyone rob you of your joy. Absolutely not.
Yeah. I'm gonna validate you because of your own personal journey, but I'm going to validate you because it's a truism in my life. I lived that thing about childlike joy, going through difficult situations there. So you said validation is very important to you in this process. I'm gonna validate you, okay? Fist bump. You get a fist bump. There you go. There you go. I validate you on that. So tell me a little bit more about the value of validation for people who don't feel good about themselves.
Oh man, that thing will transform your life. It will transform your life because if you hone in on what people think about you, that will destroy you. So you have to get to the point where you're able to replace something negative with something positive. And we're good at telling people that. Like, you can come to me and you have a bad day and I can say, "Man, you know, this is what you should do." But we don't do that for ourselves. So if my mom or dad or whoever it is say, "You know, you're not going to amount to nothing." Because I remember someone told me that. Someone told me that when I was little. Said that I wasn't going to amount to anything. And it was a family member, and said that the only I'm just going to college to get pregnant like everyone else, because everyone else go to college, they get pregnant, and that's it. But I used that as a launching pad to show her that I'm not going to be like everyone else. I'm going to show you that I'm going to amount to something. So when people say something negative, don't hone in on it. It's not you. Stop. Don't honing on stuff. Replace that or prove to that person that you are something better or you can be something better.
Yeah, this is a conversation that I had with my daughter earlier about this thing, you know, about what other people are saying there, and not to be so caught up in overthinking it. But I'm going to talk about me personally. One of my love languages is words of affirmation. And I don't get the validation that I always feel I need to do what I need to do, but I keep plugging in anyway. So in the absence of validation, what is your go-to and when you don't get validation and you know that that's important for you? So tell me, Doc, and tell the world, tell the women, tell the men, children, what do I do in absence of validation when I need it? Those are my words that's my love language. And even if not my love language, it's good to hear that, that I'm appreciated, I'm valued, because I heard some of the things you talked about value and blaming and everything else, So talk to me, because I need to know.
Okay, so with that being your love language, you need it. You need that affirmation. I mean, it's your love language. And if your love language is not fed into, then those needs will not be met. But in the absence of that, you will have to learn to validate yourself. You will have to learn to validate. It's not going to be the same, or you surround yourself with people who understand your love language and they will do the validating. Or you can ask. How sometimes you don't feel validated, but instead of saying what you want, you get upset about what you don't get. So you can say, hey, It would be nice if you say this, because this will make me feel this way. Because I'm guilty of that. I'm good at saying stuff that I don't need, I don't like. Mm-hmm. But then people are missing the point because you're not telling them what you need. So tell people what you need, and then in the absence of that, you try to do it yourself as well.
You trying to get me to sing that song, Ain't Too Proud to Beg?
Yeah, exactly. Don't be too proud to beg. Because I mean, if it's not your love language, like words of affirmation is not my love language. So that's not my first go-to. Mine is quality time. So what am I going to want to do? Spend time. It might not be yours. So if I don't say, hey, babe, let's go out tonight, or let's stop what we're doing. Let's just watch a movie, or, I'm telling you what I need to fulfill my love language. Because it doesn't come natural.
Yeah. Right. It's struggling. Even in that, you're saying, I want you to validate. You're not using the words, but you're saying, I need this to validate, So I thought that was a big one, validate for a lot of people out there. If you're a listening audience out there, and from 1 to 5, where are you on your personal journey from words that wound or wounding experiences to hope and your need for validation? If you're out there listening, and I know you're listening, I see you on the chat. I see you online, so feel free to chat. We are family here, and we're trying to build a community here. So, Doc, Michelle, so what, if anything, would you say to your listeners out there who have wounds and won't admit that they've had wounds that are affecting their present situation?
Start journaling. Start writing things down. I would say start journaling, and then when you start writing, then you start identifying, because a lot of times when we write, we're expressing our pain. We're expressing what's going on inside. So that self-reflection, that will help you to identify that you have a problem. And then if you do identify that you have a problem, just remember that you are not a victim. You are not who they say you are. So you're going to change that mindset. You're on a healing journey. So you're on your way to making things better for you. So start by self-reflection. Talk with individuals. Talk to a therapist, because we can all use therapy. Because I know everyone, a lot of people I talk to, why do I need a therapist? We can all use someone that we can talk to that is more knowledgeable in a certain area than we are. And I know you're laughing because you probably said the same thing. I don't need a therapist.
See, no, you don't, Doc, it's not that way like that. It's simply that I know I did that one time, and I sat down when I was going through a divorce situation, And I said, why am I paying this man this money and I'm just talking and he ain't saying nothing? So I come in there for these sessions and I give him this money and he's not saying anything. And eventually, some stuff I say, I begin, self-heal. I begin to talk and I say, oh, this is helping me. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I laugh because I poo-pooed it like that. Not only that, Doc, I talked to some men, some professional men who have nobody to talk to in that problem. And we began to dialogue lately about that. We will have some more online. So stay tuned to Man Cave Talk. We'll be doing that pretty soon, providing some kinds of resources, not just having a conversation about resources, but it's so don't laugh. I know the value of it because I'm a counselor. I know the value of it, but I laugh about it because I remember when I first thought it felt funny. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm sitting here talking to this
It's not
man
natural
about my stuff
to a stranger.
Yeah, not natural. Yeah, yeah, not. Yeah,
But there's value in it.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
value in it. So I would definitely recommend everyone sit at someone's feet.
Yeah.
Work
in that case, I was laying down.
Yeah.
Relax. Yeah. Hey, okay. What are your final words to your audience about your presentation this afternoon?
Okay, so in conclusion, I want to say childhood wounds can be long-lasting impacts, but they can be healed with time, support, and commitment. Recognizing and addressing these wounds is a crucial step toward emotional health and well-being. So take the time out. Healing is possible, and everyone deserves to live a life free from the shadows of trauma. And number 3, I want you to remember, healing is possible. It's not something that's far-fetched and far-reached. And you deserve to live free from the shadows of your trauma.
Oh, wow. Wow, that was deep there. You deserve to live a life free from the shadows of trauma. I like that.
You do.
All right.
Everyone.
So listen, my friends, tune on next week when we'll be right.
Hello, good evening, everyone. And to those who are listening all around the world, welcome. I would like to first welcome everyone and just introduce myself once again. My name is Queenie. I am supposedly the co-host, but our main host, Dr. Mikhail, is sick at the moment. So I would just like to ask for your prayers for her healing as well as her family as well. So we're just going to talk real quick about the childhood trauma and how, as an adult and as parents, how we can cope with it, how we can overcome it. So it's just a really quick run through. So childhood trauma can manifest through adulthood, and these can show in different parts of our lives throughout our journey in our lives. So the main point of the program the rerun that we did is to help us how we could heal um, through this trauma that we carry. Like, we have different traumas in our lives. So the main point, the main thing that we should do is to acknowledge and identify the wounds and validate it, that it's present in our lives, and it's something that that we carry and that we had to overcome. So that's the main point, is to identify, to acknowledge these wounds. And Dr. Mikhail really pointed that out. And these things, once we acknowledge that we have a problem, and then the next step is to work through it. So we have to practice the compassion. It's not just about other people, that we have to work on it ourselves. We have to work within ourselves, and we have to process the emotion. We can do that through journaling, through art, and talking to a trusted friend or a therapist. Sometimes we think that a therapist is a shrink that is only for people who have mental illness, but even those who are healthy, healthy individuals need people to lean onto during tough times. And so these trauma can manifest all throughout our lives, and seeking out those help can really, really help us get through and not push back these emotions, these trauma that can um, eventually put a stop to our growth, our personal growth, not just within ourselves, but with our growth with Christ. So another one of that is to process the emotion, allow yourself to grieve, and reparenting yourself. If those things that you did not receive as a child, um, you can get that by doing it yourself. Like the example would be hugging yourself. That if your parent lacked on in certain areas, then we can do it ourselves. It's not something that that is if we need someone else to do it, then having a trusted friend to help us process through it is a good thing as well. And as once we get through that work, we have to find our boundaries. We have to set up these boundaries. So in the future, when we encounter people, when we encounter friends, or start new relationships, these boundaries can help us protect ourselves, protect our um, to not resurface that trauma as well. So these these boundaries are for ourselves, and for those for our family, for someone, for people, for our friends who are we are in a relationship with. These boundaries are set so that it's a sort of respect for each other, and that is a good way to not resurface that trauma. And it could help you, have a healthier mindset, have a healthier life. So another way to do that as well, once you set that boundaries, is to have a regular um, time to look for professional help as well. Finding a therapist is not just for the mentally ill. Therapist is for everyone. If you find it uncomfortable, you can look to your um, church members, like your pastor as well. You can speak to them about these trauma, although they're not, if they're not professionals as well. You can speak to them, and you guys can pray through it together. And that speaking about it is also a way of processing these traumas. So therapist, your pastor, a coach, support group within your church or within any community that you are part of. I know many of us have different traumas, and I know for sure that at some point we can find people who can relate to this trauma, who can understand what we're going through. And if we ask to God about it, sometimes when we pray, we ask for people to help. Like God will bring us people in our lives to help us process through this trauma, to help us understand, help us move forward. And with it, in this journey, we are not alone. So even though we're processing it ourselves, God is with us as well. So we ask for to us to process, but then as well, whenever we're praying, God is also giving us these people, these resources for us to have. So that's a good thing as well to have. That's the hope that we can, that it's not just us working through this, but Jesus Christ is also working with us in this. So another way how we could process this as well is to engage in child healing practices, whatever we can do to help us heal, to help us get through the childhood trauma that we've had before. Writing ourselves a letter, addressing it to our family. You don't necessarily have it to address it to, like, send it to them for them to read, but just address it to them so that you can break down those wounds and be able to heal from it. And to for that, we could create a narrative, and then we could make that resilient spirit that we need. And then once we process through that, it will be much easier to become more joyful, to become more like a childlike playfulness. And it's much easier to trust others as well when you encounter new people as friends or become part in new relationships. The trust will not be hard to build when you have this relationship, and those people that you come in, then that you start building this community that is trustful, that is good for your mental health, your emotional health, your spiritual health. Then that trust will be built, and that group of community will be strong, and it will withstand any problems or any trauma. And then you could like your community will help you process it as well, and you can help those who are struggling as well. And with this, once we acknowledge, once we process, and once we create a community, and once we build that trust, then it's much easier to prevent passing that trauma to future generations as well. I know that many of us have um, received trauma from our parents as well, and a lot of us now are getting more, understanding more of how these are processed, like because internet is so accessible nowadays. So we're more educated to prevent these trauma for the future generation, for those who are parents, and for those who are planning to become parents, and even to those who are, even if you're not parenting, even if you're just going to enter into a relationship, a new relationship, a new friendship, these trauma that you have already processed by yourself can help you be mindful of not passing that trauma to others. So, being mindful when you're parenting, being mindful when you're with your new partner and your new friend, and it becomes a more healthy relationship, and then you foster that emotional awareness as well, so you become more empathetic, towards your partner, towards your children, towards your friends, and that creates a healthy creates a healthy relationship within the both of you, or within a group setting as well. So we have to promote healthy attachments. So if we find ourselves going back to these traumas, sometimes it's good to speak about it to our professionals, or to a trusted friend, or even just to go to God, to go open your scriptures, find affirmations in the Bible, and then pray about it, cry about it to God. If it's harder for you to find someone to trust, then it's steps. The first step would be coming to God. That's a good way to heal as well. So the main point of this is that healing is incredibly possible. Like overcoming your trauma, whether it be small, you may think that it's not as big as any like everyone else's trauma. It is still a trauma, and we can still process it, and it is really possible to overcome it and not pass it on, and maybe share your viewpoint to others as well, that how you overcome it, and you could help others to overcome it as well, because you've become strong. As the main point, like the verse that really touched me while doctor was sharing it was James chapter 1 verse 2 to 4. It says, "Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come to your way, consider it as an opportunity for great joy, for you know when your faith is tested." So that itself speaks on itself. Your endurance has a chance to grow, so let it grow, for when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing. So that is the greatest hope that we have, and I hope that we got something from this, and that we learned something on how we can overcome these traumas that we have going on in our lives, and how we could face it in the future as well. So I would also like to invite you next week again, hopefully, that we will be back to our usual setup. And the title for next week is "You Are a Masterpiece: Embracing Your Worth and Purpose." So it is a really good topic to discuss, and I hope everyone will be able to participate and speak in the chat as well. If you have any more questions, we can address it in the chat, and we can address it next week as well. If you want to talk about it, feel free to open up and speak your mind. So I'm thankful for everyone here, and may God bless everyone, and have a wonderful evening. And for those who are for everyone else around the world, have a good day. God bless.
Look at that.
Thank you very much. You are my savior, and your spirit's all touch. Praise you.